welcome back to another episode of Katy the Edutainer TV. I am here to help you get rid of those limiting beliefs and move on forward with your life and with your business. Become simply the CEO of your own life, the leader of it. Today, I really want to talk about something that I'm still learning about, that is podcasting, something that I see that businesses in 2020 without podcasting, without podcasts, without their own podcast are like car without wheels. Nothing funny, and it's actually better to run instead of driving it. I yet don't have my own podcast. This is a work in progress as we speak. I do have, however, my amazing microphone that can help me with that. One of the important things when you're finally recording the podcast is, first of all, peace and quiet around and a good microphone. Peace and quiet around, simply ask your colleagues that you live with or your family to be quiet, or maybe give them some money to go and buy pizza. Feed your cat, feed your dog so they will not disturb, because with a full belly they will definitely go to sleep, and keep quiet. And don't forget to close the window. No matter what kind of microphone you have, make sure that those external noises are really, really limited. Overall, when it comes to creating podcasts, it is the same as with your business or with creating a YouTube channel or with creating any other content that you're doing for your audience. First off, you need to really know, who are you recording this podcast to? Who is your audience? Why is actually that people that should listen to you? All those things, all those questions you should answer yourself. You can even create your special client avatar connected with your podcast. It might be the same one as for your business, or it might be something much more detailed. The rules for creating client avatar are the same as always. That is why I really would like to recommend you to watch the video that I already prepared and uploaded here on YouTube, connected specifically to creating your client avatar, your dream client persona. Come back to that one later. I will leave you the link in the comments below. On the side of the client avatar, I want you also to have your why. Why you do it for yourself, why actually you are choosing podcasting, why you want to be heard by people on the other side, why you're doing it. The second person that needs to know your why and your purpose, and maybe that purpose is exactly the same as yours, or maybe slightly different, is the person who's going to be listening, the person on the other side. It's like you're sitting in front of the computer or in front of the mobile and listening and watching to this video with podcast. Think about what that person would like to achieve, why they would like to listen to your podcast. Important thing is also finding the connection between the podcast itself and your own business. Remember, that podcast should be supporting your brand and not being something totally different, unless you're creating it for another business of yours. But then still, you're connecting it to something else. You're connecting it to another business. Think about that, the connection between the podcast and the business. How do they interact? What do they have in common? What kind of solution you're showing on the podcast? What kind of things is actually your business solving? Podcast can be done in different types of ways. I've been listening to several podcasts which are very informative. I've listened to some podcasts which are motivational, others which are just telling stories, and other one that is giving me support and teaches me something. Also, your podcast should have a kind of theme and idea. What is it? Is it for motivation only? Is it to spread the information about your business? Is it to get people really to know you and get to know you from maybe a different angle than you're showing on another social media channels? Or simply, it is there to teach people, to help them, or to motivate them. Make the choice at the very beginning before you even start recording the first podcast chapter. Think also, would your podcast be you talking only? Or do you plan to do any interviews? Or do you plan to do the mix of it? Or maybe just interviews, and your purpose is actually to share other people's opinion and other people's idea. Think about it, whether it's you talking only, interview only, or a bit of the mix of the two. I personally like the mix of the two, and as I would like to implement it right now into my YouTube channel, I will definitely implement this similar approach on the podcast that I will be recording and creating in the future. Near future, I hope. Remember also about those details, how often you will pop into people's ears, which platform you will use to spread the information that your podcast is there, how they can connect to it. Will you show it on your website, or maybe you will share it on your Facebook page or any other place, LinkedIn, or maybe you would do an incredibly cool idea of sharing the video on YouTube and maybe at 2 weeks later to share actually this in the form of podcast, or the other way around. The last thing I would like to really recommend to you, it's the same thing as I would do with other social media planning, other content planning, other content creating, and even things like YouTube creation. Definitely plan to record more than one chapter in one time, especially if you do things all by yourself. If it's not the interview, but if it's just you talking, that would be great if you could record 3 to 4 podcasts chapters at the same time. This way you'll be batching the podcast recording, and simply you will have a chance to do it more efficiently, losing less time. And definitely prepare for that. Prepare at least the bullet points that you want to talk about. This way you will not be blubbing around that it's but you will know exactly what are your key points to share, what are your key points to talk about, what are the questions you want to ask your audience on the podcast. In the meantime, I will continue to create content in the form of videos, which I actually like the most. But because I believe truly in the power of podcast, I decided that this year, and probably within the next month or two, I will be popping with a podcast. So stay tuned. I will be sharing some more information as to my story of how I ended up with podcasting and what kind of things I will be sharing on the podcast. Would that be very different from what I'm sharing here on YouTube or not? Don't forget to stay with me and stay tuned. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell to get the notifications every week when the new video is popping in. The new video about you taking control of your life, about you taking and creating the business and the life you want.